hello to you, Mr. Flynn. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the programme. Why was this the right time for her to go?
Morning, Kay. I think Nicola made clear yesterday that, of course, the challenges of high office, and lest we forget that Nicola has been a cabinet secretary, the deputy first minister, and the first minister itself over the course of the last 16 years, has taken its toll. I like everyone in the SNP. I'm pretty gutted that Nicola's taken this decision. She's been a formidable leader of our party, a formidable leader in the Scottish Government. As she did yesterday, throughout her tenure, she approached her resignation speech with that typical empathy, warmth and humility that came to personify her leadership of the Scottish Government. And, you know, she's been a personal inspiration to me and so many others. So it's been a sad thing to see her take this decision, but I entirely understand her reasons for doing so.
Yeah, hastily abandoned the party after mistakes of her own making is what I was reading in the newspaper this morning. A good day for unionism.
Don't believe everything you read in the papers.
Well, I'm a journalist and I appreciate my colleagues in print, even if you don't. They say that, they were mistakes of her own making. How do you regroup from this?
I don't think it's necessarily a case of regrouping. We're in an incredibly strong position. We're obviously polling exceptionally well in Scotland as a party. We know that in terms of independence, the numbers tend to fluctuate between 50 and 50, just above 50% and just below 50%, which I think is incredibly positive. We've had a very successful Scottish local elections last year, where I think we got a record number of councillors. So the party's in an incredibly strong position. And more important than that, we've got an exceptional bunch of MSPs in Holyrood, one of whom will now become the leader of the SNP and indeed the leader of the Scottish Government. I think that's quite an exciting thing, and I look forward to them setting out their agenda and taking the party forward.
Do you acknowledge it's a good day for unionism?
I'm not really focused on unionism, if I'm honest. Like I say, I think the Scottish National Party is in an incredibly strong position. And whether you've listed a number of names there, there's some others who I'm sure may well be considering putting themselves forward to be the next leader of the party. And, you know, these are folk with an incredible abundance of experience. They're also, like Nicola, excellent communicators. And I've no doubt that we're going to be in a strong position going forward. And that's where my focus understandably lies, Kate.
Yeah, is now the time for the SNP potentially to make their case less about independence and more about domestic policy?
I don't think we've done anything but make our case about independence based upon domestic policy, because if you look at many of the challenges that exist within society at this moment, so the pressures on our NHS, much of that is born directly from the fact that we are struggling to recruit people in social care as a result of leaving the European Union. Obviously, problems that were made by the UK government, not the Scottish government. So no matter which way you look at things in terms of the challenges we face, I firmly believe that we could do things much better if we had the full powers of an independent nation. So the two things, the domestic challenges and indeed independence, are interlinked, and we'll continue to make that case to the Scottish people. 25
people a week losing their lives to a drug death. The latest figures coming out later on this year. I mean, that's not down to leaving the European Union, is it?
No, it's not. And many of those challenges are born from one of the cities where I grew up, which is something which is incredibly tough to take. These are generational problems, Kay. There's quite clearly been generational issues in Scotland in relation to drugs and indeed with alcohol. The Scottish Government's obviously put a significant amount of funding in relation to the drugs challenge as it stands. There's a task force which was set up. I know there's a particular minister who's tasked in the Scottish Government with trying to overcome these problems, and we are all focused on overcoming these problems. But these are generational issues, and I think everyone is very well aware of that in Scotland.
Nicola Sturgeon said that she will stay on in Parliament. Will she not be a distraction by doing that?
No, I think that's entirely the right thing to do. Nicola Sturgeon is an incredibly experienced leader, as I've already highlighted, and I think it's a good thing. I think the people of Scotland will be quite comforted by the fact that she'll be there holding the reins for the coming weeks whilst the party selects a new leader and a new First Minister. And let's not escape from the fact that there is ongoing big challenges to come, and making sure that there is that continuity at the top is very important.
You've said that you won't stand as the next leader. Who are you backing?
Yeah, indeed, I'll not be standing. Of course, the next leader of the Scottish National Party needs to have the ability to be First Minister. No MP has the ability to be First Minister for obvious reasons, that we're located in London and not Edinburgh. In terms of who I'm backing, I've not seen anyone throw their name into the ring yet. Once names start going into that ring, I'll have conversations with my colleagues, see what their policy priorities are in terms of the immediate challenges that we face, how they intend to overcome some of the issues in relation to the economy, in relation to the health service, in relation to the cost of living crisis, and indeed our energy future, and of course how they set out their pathway to that independent future. And I'm looking forward to that positive discussion once my colleagues decide whether they want to put themselves forward or not.
Yeah, you did say though that it was a party of untold riches. Who would you like to see put their names forward?
I think it would be unfair of me, Kay, particularly given what the First Minister said in terms of the pressures of office and the toll it can take to put additional pressure onto someone when they're probably having discussions with their nearest and dearest at the moment as to whether they stand or not. So I'm not going to put an additional layer of pressure onto any particular individual. But what I will do is obviously speak with them all, if indeed there is more than one, who puts himself forward to be the leader of the party, and engage with them to see and what their policy priorities are and their values going forward.
Do you still think that the next election should be a de facto referendum on independence?
I actually think so. The party was intending on having a conference on the 19th of March to outline the next stage for us in terms of what comes next. Because obviously, we've been told by the UK Supreme Court that we don't have the powers to hold an independence referendum, despite the repeated mandates that Nicola Sturgeon and the party have won at numerous Scottish elections. So we need to chart that next course. How do we get to that independent future? Now, the de facto referendum was obviously put forward by the First Minister, and we were going to be discussing and debating the merits of that at that party conference. I personally think that party conference should be paused for obvious reasons. I think the new leader should have the opportunity and indeed the space to set out their position, their values and their intentions going forward. So that would be my take in relation to that, Kay. I think it's sensible that we do hit the pause button on that conference and allow the new leader the opportunity to set out their vision.
But in answer to my question, do you think the next election should be a de facto referendum?
Like I say, I think it's important that the new leader, and there will be a new leader, is given the opportunity to clearly set out their platform. We know that it was Nicola Sturgeon's preference to have a de facto referendum. Indeed, it was my preference as well. But I'm not going to try and bind the hands of any potential successor. I think it's important that we have, or we allow them the opportunity to set out their intentions in due course, and I'll listen to what they have to say closely.
Good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on the programme this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.